Welcome to another AMA with Kadena Project Network. In this episode, we will be speaking with the team from Little WAGMI. This conversation was recorded on June 5th, 2022, live on Twitter Spaces. The views and expressions in this AMA do not represent the views of KPN directly and are not to be considered as financial advice. Please make sure to do your own research on the projects presented. Also make sure to follow our account to be alerted of new uploads. Now let's get started. Enjoy.
Yo, what up?
Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yeah, that's brilliant. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Yeah, all good. I'm just finally chilled out for the day and preparing myself for this, meet up and just pretty much going from there. So how's your Sunday been?
Been good, yeah.
Yeah.
Been a little bit busy.
Yeah.
Excited for this.
Yeah, sure. So whereabouts are you based?
I'm in New York in the United States.
Oh, awesome. Yeah, never been. Maybe one day.
Yeah.
Yeah, so...
not exactly the most crypto-friendly place, but...
Sure.
You know.
Yeah, I mean, it's fairly innovative in that space in comparison to, I think, the UK in some ways.
Interesting. Yeah.
Yeah.
I just went to London and Scotland, I think like a few months back.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was pretty fun.
Yeah, the only thing with the UK is it does rain a lot, and Scotland is even more, say, colder.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we don't really have much sun here. And so I'm just going to rewind. My name's Fernando. I'm the creator of Little WAGMI, and I'm actually half Italian, half Spanish, but I was raised here in the UK. So it's quite. Both my parents are say Mediterranean, and it's a bit different for me living in the UK in terms of getting used to, say, the climate, the weather, and things like that in comparison to those other two countries. So, but yeah.
Yeah.
But so, what's your name? Sorry.
Yeah, I'm Adam. I'm Manatee Crypto on Twitter. I don't know if you see me around.
No,
but
I think I may have seen it may have been LinkedIn profile. You're located in New York, is that correct?
Yes.
Yeah, awesome. So, I mean, again, just to rewind a little bit, I initially started in the whole, say, crypto space in 2015. I was an early investor into Dogecoin, of all coins, and I saw the vision then in terms of like the underlying technology, as in blockchain technology, and I'd often speak about this technology to clients of mine who all thought it was a bit of a passing fad and nothing really would come of this. And it kind of discouraged me from what I believed back in 2015. And so I just went about my business, carried on with my own little business that I was running, and never really thought much of it until 2021, when I revisited this space and learned a lot more, to a point now that I'm apparently a certified blockchain expert, which, I mean, the exam was really easy, and a certified NFT expert, which basically taught me the fundamentals of the technology. And so, I just wanted to learn and continue to learn as much as I can about this space, and, try and work out the, say, natural progression of where this will go and how things will be adopted in the near future. And in 2021, November time, I just arrived back in the UK, and I was just inspired by the whole NFT space and thought to myself, nobody's really embarking on something where there's a mixture of media, such as literature, animations or illustrations, and creating something that I thought was meaningful. And the term WAGMI was like bandied about on crypto Twitter quite often, And when I discovered the actual meaning behind it, I thought that the sentiment surrounding that word was, I thought it would be a brilliant brand for a children's based platform. And so here I am today discussing with you, where this is going and what my, say, intentions are.
Awesome. Yeah, I definitely think that NFTs can be used for a lot more than just art.
Sure.
Art and I guess kind of like this luxury that it is right now is like a digital ownership thing for crypto enthusiasts. So I think it's cool to see it have more applications in the real world, and I think it definitely starts with its own children's brand.
Absolutely.
Like you said. So yeah, really cool to see you guys at the forefront of that.
Yeah,
So
exactly. And it is a novel type case as well within this crypto space. And I mean, I stand corrected, but I don't know of any other, I don't know anybody else doing what I'm embarking on at this moment in time. We see a lot of profile photo profile picture based NFTs. We do see NFTs that have some sort of utility, but at the same time, you see a lot of things that I think you and I could most probably agree on that doesn't seem to have that potential future, and it may be like a pump and dump type of NFT drop, and I'm not in this to do that. And I'm a firm believer in like accountability and being completely transparent as well, because my main focus is what I'm creating for the community here, and I feel as though that if I create a strong enough foundation within this platform, then I'll outlive any type of crypto winter bear market and continue chipping away at the vision that I have. And so my thoughts are strongly within the foundational parts as well as utility. The artwork is there's progression with that and where it's all heading. And so the team that I have is purely my family. So I'm talking my wife and my children. And that is pretty much it at the moment. And I feel like in the near future, there'll be other people that will no doubt be part of this and help it grow even more.
Yeah, totally. I think when you talk about just the starting up a brand like this, definitely important, and the user experience is gonna make it or break it. So
absolutely,
it's really good that you guys are building on Kadena, right? Because obviously we have the lowest gas fees. We have a lot of potential with wallets, multi-sig,
sure,
stuff like that.
Yeah,
I think that's why a lot of because there's tons of other real world applications also building on Kadena. We have the DNA tech, which is going to be it's going to be like a luxury counterfeiting protection service on Kadena,
awesome,
something like that.
Yeah, that's brilliant.
And then we have you guys building that's going to attract children to blockchain and other values. So yeah, I mean really excited.
Going back to what I'm embarking on is, in fact, I think as time passes, there'll be more. I'll receive more inspiration in a sense of, from a creative perspective as to where I think this should go. And I'm quite fortunate in a sense that I've got a really good network of people that have been like CEOs of multi-billion-pound businesses, and they've done ever so well, and they could also help me as in give me guidance in terms of the right direction to take with the marketing side of things. And so I can use that to my advantage, as well as I'm quite fortunate again that the business that I'm running, I deal with a lot of nurseries as well. So I've already got 13 nurseries in around September time, when I hope the book will be released. I'll actually go to these sites and I'll be able to read this book to the children and start bringing some awareness to the Little WAGMI brand. And I think that's when things will start really moving for Little WAGMI, and there'll be more and more traction. At the moment, it's fairly sort of like slow, but I actually quite like it like this, because I want everything to be organic, in a sense of I don't want to like get people out there shilling this project for me in a sense, only if they genuinely feel like gravitated to it, because I want to like attract my own tribe, in a sense, to this. And so it's a like-minded based community that want to create meaningful content for children, parents and teachers, and and bring these core values, like good core values, to children. So yeah, that's pretty much the direction I'm going in at the moment, and it is literally steady steps. And like I mentioned earlier, I think it's so important to get the foundational part right and then sort of progress from there.
Yeah, totally. I agree. I think like you talk about kind of attracting your own tribe.
Sure.
I think the blockchain space, right? It definitely has that community backing it, because we're all in here for the same reasons, give or take, in it for the tech and in it for the money.
Yeah.
And mixed between both. Nobody is on one side fully, to be completely honest.
Yeah, exactly. And like I mentioned about full transparency, this will be a business, and so what my intentions are as well in the near future is again, I feel a bit different to existing NFTs. And again, I stand corrected, but the idea is I'll be mixing, say, centralized based. How can I put this? So I'm mixing it with centralized as well as decentralized. So just to give you an example, I'll be minting, again, for example, 100,000 Wicked Whale books. Now, I'll also be, say, selling these books through like Amazon, and the revenue that's generated through Amazon will ultimately end up into the treasury, and that will then be, say, shared between, the NFT holders. So the idea is that, I would like to, and I'm still studying this as well, and I'm trying to dot my I's and cross my T's, is work out a method whereby, through the sales of the book and other future, say, products, it basically goes back to the holders, the people that believe and the people that, contribute to the actual Little WAGMI movement. And so my take on this is a little bit different in terms of bringing the centralized services and decentralized services into one, say, group. And bring, say, just bring it back to the actual NFT holders, and which again, I don't know of any other NFT, say, platform that's really doing that, unless it's something to do with mining, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you. I think like kind of bringing a lot of decentralization to this sector will actually help it, so that parents, like it can be parents and adults that kind of convene, and then they can choose what values to teach kids, and that can just lead to like and through blockchain and like community and stuff like that.
Exactly.
I think that's like,
Yeah.
it can really bring to light very good virtues for children going
Well,
up.
this is it, yeah. And I mean, have you ever heard of Scratch, a programming a type of environment for children?
Yep, I've actually used it before.
Oh, right, awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, so here in the UK, in schools, they tend to, well, within their sort of IT classes, they'd have like a Raspberry Pi, and they would use Scratch to create certain projects. Now, I mean, who's to say that, there wouldn't be a variation of Scratch, maybe like a Little WAGMI variation, where it teaches kids to code, maybe in PACT. And so, there's these different ideas that, that I can implement in the near future, so that there'll be like this development hub as well, which again, my purpose here is, or I feel like my purpose is being able to give to the next generation that, we will need to depend on in the future. And so again, my intentions here are in a sense that it's I believe in like these old school values where if you do good, good comes back to karma, basically. And so I believe that, if we all basically give back to or help our next generation grow and flourish, then we all reap the rewards for that. So again, Little WAGMI, the actual project itself, there'll always be, like, especially in the book, there'll always be like these lessons that are learned throughout these stories, a bit like a parable in a sense. So and I love the way that I've written the Wicked Whale story so far. It's just awesome. So really looking forward to actually releasing that, and it'll be interactive as well, where you'll be able to listen to me read the actual story. I do all the characters' voices, and just everything about it is just so. It's just, in my eyes, and I don't want to come across as big-headed or anything. I'm trying to be as humble as I can with this, but it's just so unique in a sense of the whole. In fact, it's quite funny as well because it correlates with crypto so much. So I think even like parents would sort of smile at some of the things that have been written in this book. So it's it's pretty awesome.
Yeah, that's really cool. And I like how you said like maybe like some scratch spin-off, more directed towards PACT and blockchain.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. I think there's I know Ryan Maddow's kid is writing I think he wrote a PACT smart contract, and I know that Ben Brook he's another he's a pretty big name in the KDA space.
Awesome.
His kid also did some things with PACT. So yeah, I think it's because of how PACT is built. I think it's definitely like if there were some spin-off like a drag and drop testnet equivalent or something like that, like
Sure.
that could be really cool.
Yeah,
Something
exactly.
like that.
And and I mean that thought has come to me as well in terms of like a scratch variation, but surrounding PACT, and anything that's going to empower children. I'm on it. I want to build it or create it. And with what I do at the moment, I always test it with my children, and I think to myself, if they're able to use it, and if they enjoy it and they're able to use it, then I'm on the right path. And so I think Apple does a very similar thing when they test products. They get like either a really young child or quite an old person, and they test their user interface and to see whether or not that say age group's able to use it, and therefore if they're able to use that user interface, then it will be something that will be used by the masses in terms of user experience. So I do a very similar thing with what I illustrate, and I always test it with my own children and to gauge which if I'm on the right track. But what I particularly like is, sorry to go off on a tangent, is the way Kadena, especially, and I know I started this off saying, I've done these courses that have enabled me to understand more about blockchain technology. I'm always learning, and every day is literally a school day. But I started learning about Kadena back in November 2021, and one thing that struck me was the whole it's a safer, smarter contract environment, which I like, because you'd see like on the Binance Smart Chain network a lot of like or even in fact across quite a few other different chains, where liquidity was removed, or somebody was hacked, and I mean, and I thought to myself, well, not only do they solve the blockchain trilemma, which most of us, or pretty much all of us that are into Kadena are aware of, but the way that they've created this safer smart contract environment, I think that's really important for everybody, whether or not you're creating an NFT, or if you're the, say, consumer side of things, just knowing that reassurance of this smart contract environment is less susceptible to bugs because of the way it operates. And I just liked that one thing, especially about Kadena, as well as the team behind it, which I think's so important, and basically the direction that they're going in. So I think that Kadena is one of those projects that is going to flourish really, really well in the coming years. 3 to 5 years. It's just going to continue growing and growing. So, yeah.
Yeah, I think with the expansion and growth of Kadena also comes obviously the growth of the projects on them, and the ones that
Absolutely.
are early right now, like you guys are very early. Every project building on is pretty early. We slid out of the top 100, right? The ecosystem is still only growing every day. I think a lot of people realize the potential. This is not a ghost chain anymore.
No, that's right. And people were claiming, no, it's a ghost chain, and nothing. Kadena isn't, say, worth building on, and things like that. But I just see that as a very sort of ignorant way of looking at Kadena, in fact. So things are happening, and like you mentioned, we are early, and I don't want to sound too cliche, but we are extremely early to this blockchain. And again, I think fundamentally it's definitely the one that I feel that's going to do extremely well in the coming future. So, and maybe I'm just one-sided with all of this, but there's no other chain that really appeals to me. I did look into other. I mean, just to let you know, initially, I was going to launch the Little WAGMI project on the Avalanche network. That's what I had my heart set on, and then I started studying Kadena, and I thought, no, this is definitely the way forward, and here I am. So slowly but surely, things are going in the right direction.
Yeah, totally. And I see you guys are also growing by the day, getting a lot more attention and following. And I'm guessing that one of your reasons for switching over to Kadena from, some other blockchains that you had in mind was gas stations and like the low gas.
Yeah. Well, the reason. Sorry, are you referring to the reason why I switched from my initial idea of creating this on Avalanche?
Yep.
Yeah. So it was not about the gas station side of things, because I think to myself, it's in fact from a very simple sort of perspective, is that if there's a really good restaurant, you don't mind driving out to this restaurant to eat good food. And likewise, it's similar to NFTs. If there's quality work or quality whatever NFT may be on that chain, you don't mind paying the fees for that, unless it's Ethereum and you're spending a few $1,000s to just mint a particular NFT. So that wasn't the biggest thing for me. It was more about the actual fundamentals of Kadena that I felt as though it just felt right, and so I just went with my gut feeling as to what I thought and learned about Kadena, and decided at that point then that this is definitely the way forward for this project. And another thing I've noticed as well within the actual community is that there's the Kadena community at the moment. It's not so big, but I've noticed that people tend to be a lot more kinder, friendlier, and it just seems like the right spot for growth at the moment. Whereas a lot of other chains, especially like Binance Smart Chain and others, you find a lot of toxic type of behavior. And I thought to myself, well, that's not really the right environment to sort of grow. So I decided that, again, this was another thing that contributed to like the whole thought process was to, build on Kadena, great fundamentals, great communities, and it will be a good place to, grow, drop this seed and start watering this seed and making it grow. And at the moment, my following is steadily increasing. And like I mentioned at the beginning, this is something that I actually like, in a sense that I know that this is growing organically, and I'm not having to get anybody out there or pay somebody to shill it. And so what I want for this project is, again, it's all about the foundations for me. And so if it's steadily built, and built on solid foundations, then I know that the slightest bit of wind won't blow this, say, project over. It will continue to, grow or thrive once the book's released. And I think that's going to be the game changer here, where, this is a whole new novel type of NFT that will be brought to this space, which, again, I don't know of any other, digital children's book that's going to be interactive, that's going to be minted on a blockchain.
Yeah, I think it's really cool what you guys are doing. Definitely like an innovation in the space, in the NFT space.
Yeah.
And when I want to tell you that when we had our AMA with KadenaEcosystem, which is a betting platform building on Kadena,
Yeah.
they said the same thing about the reason. They saw the fundamentals and the technology, and they saw this is still going to be around in 10 years.
Easily.
So it was less about just specific features and rather the overall functionality of the blockchain.
Exactly, yeah. So,
So yeah.
yeah, other than that, I've recently acquired an office space as well that I'll be working from. And so I've decided to take 6 months off from work to just fully focus on the actual project and, make things sort of happen and move forward. And another thing I like about this space, sorry, I've just thought of something, but it's like how early we are. And again, I know that that's used quite often, but like in 5 to 10 years from now, we'll look back and think, wow, we were so early to this NFT space. And I think when regulation comes in, which undoubtedly will, we're going to see a lot more bigger sort of corporate entities come into this space. And, like Disney, Pixar, Warner Brothers, I mean, they've already had some NFT like drops on here, but within the crypto space. But I think in the near future, there'll be a lot more that will be incorporated with NFTs, and so it's going to be really interesting, I think, with the progression of where this is going.
Sorry, I don't know why my Twitter mute button is bugging out right
That's
now.
all right.
But yeah, I really agree with you. I agree with you on that. Like, the future of Kadena is headed in the right direction.
Sure.
I think it's going to come out on top of a lot of other blockchains, and it's definitely one of the up and coming. And obviously, I think Kadena, to be honest, while it's under the radar, we don't have a lot of tooling or developer documentation.
That's true.
I feel like we're gonna see in like throughout this bear market, we're just going to see more and more development, especially once we get NFT standards like Marmalade, and we get CADEX and DeFi, all those other things. Then I think we're going to really see some pickup in that sector.
Yeah.
So to talk a little bit more about Marmalade, can you tell us a little bit more about how you're going to be utilizing that?
Well, believe it or not, I've not actually looked into Marmalade in terms of like, in fact, the actual because it's actually a bit different from any other NFT type of environment. Because correct me if I'm wrong, but you can create your own marketplace within Marmalade. Is that correct?
Yeah, essentially, it's you get to make your own standards, and you can make a marketplace off those standards. You can have NFTs that tie in with each other. You can have wallets, different wallets that are like kind of built into smart contracts. All those other things.
Yeah, sure. So with the Marmalade side of things, personally speaking, I've not delved too much into, although I've read a bit about Marmalade, and again, this is the only downfall to like Kadena at the moment in my eyes, and again, it's because it's fairly early. Is there's not enough documentation out there at this moment in time around, say, the PACT programming language, or it's quite it's quite difficult to find. I mean, I know there's one female developer called Kate, which no doubt you're aware of, that she's published some videos on, say, YouTube on, say, the PACT programming language. And likewise with Marmalade, there is some documentation out there. But that's something that we're going to definitely explore, like, in the very near future, because that's been on my, say, to-do list as to look into further. And like I mentioned, the only thing I know about it at this moment in time is that, it's a place where you can essentially create your own NFT marketplace, and undoubtedly there's so much more that you can do with that, which would be advantageous to use.
Sorry, my Twitter mic's bugging out again. Yeah, I totally agree with you on that. I think Marmalade can definitely be utilized in a lot of different ways, and we just got to wait for the documentation to kind of make up our minds on how we're going to do it, especially, and obviously it's per project,
Sure.
right? Like, you guys might not utilize as much of Marmalade as some other projects that are more DeFi oriented.
Exactly.
And that's perfectly fine.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, thank you for the answer.
It's okay.
Yeah, I think my next question would be, what is your guys' roadmap for the near future?
Okay, so I've got a flight plan, I called it, and so what the plan, so what the plan is that I simply create a website, or the Little WAGMI website, and on there there'll be some documentation outlining exactly what the plans are, and pretty much like a business plan, but in a most simplified manner, so that anybody could understand what my intentions are. And so it's a website minting site where I'll be minting, say, X amount of Little WAGMI characters, which I've also been thinking about, which way do I do this? Do I create the product first, and then have a minting site so that people can then buy the characters, or do I just do it the traditional way of like many other NFTs, and have a bunch of NFTs that I sell, and then proceed to build the product? Because sometimes when I look at, say, roadmaps, it seems like an IOU, and I'm very much like, is it not better to create the product first and then have the mint inside? So I'm actually debating which way I'm gonna, or which angle I'm gonna take, with that. So it will either be the minting site, or I'll release the product first, which is the actual book, and then go from there and say mint. And I'll just give you an idea. There'll be 10,000 Little WAGMI characters, and I'll steadily release, say, 2,000 at a time, throughout a period of, I don't know, 2 to 3 months, where there'll be opportunities, or multiple opportunities, to get a Little WAGMI character. And so from that point, I'll be releasing, it depends on which way I go with this, the book, or it'll be the book, merchandise, and the animations, which again I'll be using centralized and decentralized services to basically facilitate the treasury, in a sense that whatever's made out of these two income streams, which will be like, so for example, you've probably seen on YouTube there's a lot of animated based series that do quite well. And so, with Little WAGMI, I want to create something very similar where there'll be these animations and which will be promoted online, and whatever's earned through that will go into the actual treasury, which will then be distributed amongst its holders. So from that point, I'll continue building, and eventually there'll be this, say, like WAGMIverse, which will be, say, a learning type of hub for, again, children, adults, and teachers, where you can go into this, say, learning environment, and you can, say, study development, or you can learn more about, say, the English language or mathematics, whatever it may be. And again, I think in time that will just it will grow, and things may change in the future, and also it may be something where the community gets together and say, well, how about we do this, and have some sort of vote and go from there.
Yeah, and I want to say I really appreciate your transparency with that roadmap analogy to IOUs. I think you're totally right in that. Until you actually have a mint or an IDO, I think it's important that you really focus on, yourself, and just getting that initial trust with the community, because you don't really owe anyone anything until that happens, until you raise money from investors.
Exactly.
So I just want to appreciate your the ethos there.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of other projects take that to heart as well.
Yeah.
So yeah.
And I mean that in a most respectful sense. I know that maybe the way I said it didn't come across in that way, but I've seen so many projects that I think to myself, these people are throwing money away, or throwing money at a project that they think, or they may have been shielded this project, and it doesn't end up going anywhere, and people are losing money, and I'm just very self-aware, self-conscious. There's a level of accountability, and I always treat people how I would like to be treated. So it's these simple core values that I'm using, that I feel that it'll be something that I should implement into the Little WAGMI project, and pretty much go from there.
Awesome. Yeah. And you didn't say it in any disrespectful way, at least from what I could tell. I think you're right when you say that you should focus on, building a product and building your community, because at the end of the day, if you're gonna have a mint, you should have everything in place to deliver on your promises. So I appreciate your transparency there.
Yeah, and I believe the same. So, yeah, exactly. But yeah, I mean, I don't know if there's any questions that anybody else would like to ask, or if there's any more questions you'd like to ask me.
I think I'm all out of questions, but
okay.
If anyone else would like to ask any questions, feel free to raise your hand. Again, for those who might have just joined or joined a little bit ago, Little WAGMI is, I'm going to read it right off the bio here so that I don't get anything wrong. Little WAGMI is an NFT brand focusing on creating fun and educational content for children, teachers, and parents. So if you guys have any questions about that, just raise your hand and I will add you up here. Sorry, my dog's barking right now.
It's okay.
She broke the silence. All right, if we don't have any questions, I think maybe we want to wrap it up. This is going to be, this was recorded, obviously, and it'll be available on Twitter for 30 days if you guys want to listen back on any specific parts. And also, if you guys have any questions for Little WAGMI down the line, you can definitely, tweet at them or join their Discord.
Absolutely.
It's in their bio.
Yeah.
You can go join their Discord, learn more about them. I think it's a really interesting project, and I think it's very under the radar, so get ahead of the game.
Well, this is it, and not just because I'm obviously the creator of Little WAGMI, but I don't think people really understand, or even myself to a degree, of where this will go to, because there's such a massive market out there for what I'm building. We are very under the radar, and the, say, 100 and some odd followers that I have at the moment, I can really see that in the very near future, especially when I reach out to these nurseries and schools that I'll be sharing this book with, there'll be more traction then. And again, it's a novel type of use case for this NFT space, which I think will add further traction. So if you need to, or if you feel like you want to reach out to me, I'm always here. And yeah, we can go from there, and yeah, just have a little chat. And if you want to bring any ideas, we can, yeah, collaborate. I'm all ears for people that want to get involved and really expand on this. So I think that's the beauty of this type of environment as well.
Absolutely, yeah. I really like and I say this every AMA.
Go for it.
And I don't know why, but I really like the just the overall like interaction in the Kadena community. I feel like everyone in the Kadena ecosystem, I should say, everyone is just so like connected in a way. It's like a really big village, but it's everyone knows each other is how I feel.
Yeah.
At least that's how I feel, because I've been in the Kadena space for a while now. But yeah.
Yeah, I agree.
I like to see projects collaborate and community members collaborate and other stuff like that. So yeah, thank you guys for coming on.
No, thank you. And like I said, if you want to, if anybody wants to reach out to me, I'm always here. So many thanks for having me and for your time. I really appreciate it. And we'll talk again soon, no doubt.
Yeah, and thank you for coming on.
You're welcome.
Really appreciated it. Had a lot of fun.
Take care.
Take care.
Many thanks. Bye-bye.
That wraps it up for another amazing AMA. Thank you very much for listening. Here at KPN, we strive to bring an open platform for projects being built on Kadena to present themselves to the community. Please ensure to do your own research on each project before investing. Also ensure to follow us on our social media, from Twitter to our weekly newsletter. All the links can be found on our SoundCloud profile page. Thank you very much for listening, and take care.